We now continue with Smurf.
The endless public toilet. Have you ever been to this place in your dreams? The place is completely run down. There is a strong stench of old piss and excrement, an inch or two of sewage on the floor, stalls with partitions, and doors that are much too high off of the ground, toilets that are clogged to the brim with shit and piss, bad lighting, and the weirdest part of all, there is other people in there with you. What exactly is this place? It has the patterns of a liminal space, but it is disgusting. Not endless, but still uncannily large and maze-like, usually in a school. Filthy, but not as much as in your dreams. Locks and stall doors may not work. Some stalls even have missing doors. There may be areas with many toilet seats with no doors, walls, or dividers of any kind to separate them. Often diminished lighting and always uncomfortable atmosphere. Black and white color scheme, sometimes gray mixed in, but almost never other people or maybe just a few. Even so, there is a constant dread that someone might see me and interrupt me if I start doing my business. I've had this dream a few times. The floors are not completely flooded, only the areas near the dreams. There are other people there, but I can only hear their voices echoing down the halls. The lighting is poor, the smell is nasty, and there is never any escape, besides waking up. Feels bad, man. This sounds kind of like the mall world phenomena I heard of a few years back. It's this endless mall guarded by security. They will track you down if they figure out you are conscious. They will take you to a place that you cannot remember and do things to you. I don't know if they are harvesting you or testing you, but it cannot be good. It affects you in the real world. Once they get you in your own mind, your real life body and mind is not safe. Be careful if it is the mall world, because that is a government trap/prison harvest. They find people through these secret government programs, then they dream of the same world, except the entire time it feels wrong, like you are not meant to be there. Yep, almost every night. Blue doors, endless school gym type of setting with endless bathroom stalls. You are constantly being watched. I typically go here after the endless lazy river world, where I am drifting through water with dinosaurs lurking in the bushes surrounding me. I also think a lot of people visit the theater world, which is part of mall world. The theater is a slam-packed, multi-layered auditorium where the shows they put on change scene from right to left, planning to different scenarios. The lights come on a lot, and everyone is kicked back out into the mall world. Have any of you played the laser tag car game that is themed to space? More than once. Some of our dream locations have ungodly horrible hell bathrooms that are so bad you would not believe. One dream, I had to traverse the hell sewage bathroom of ungodly horror of some underground office complex, and when I emerged back on the surface, I saw a group of people dressed like superheroes at the main entrance of the underground facility. I felt sorry for them and thought, man, those guys dressed like superheroes have no idea what ungodly hell they are going to encounter down there. But on rare occasions, I have seen the clean toilets packed like sardines in indoor pool grid world. Other people in these areas is often sparse. In the more liminal spaces, I might see 3 to 4 other people, but we do not really interact much. I often encounter people of entirely different cultures that do not speak English. What are these places? Why do so many of us go to this same place in our dreams? Is it a trap? A place where the collective consciousness goes to rest and reboot? There has to be some hidden meaning behind it. OP here. I've actually never been to Mall World, although one place that still sticks with me vividly is like a giant gaming convention. It was packed so densely, and it was for a fantasy MMORPG. They had some kind of host or announcer on a jumbotron giving pep talks and reading off events. The host himself was a low-poly avatar with basic colors. The place itself was dark, with tons of neon lights and PCs where you could go and play the game itself. I could tell that it was definitely the kind of place that you were meant to get lost in and lose track of time, like how a casino is set up. I never sat down and played the game itself, but it was tempting. It reminded me of World of Warcraft and how people used to get completely engrossed in the game for days at a time. They had food and drinks in there as well. These are subconscious overrides, so you don't piss the bed. I always wake up laughing from how absurd they can be. My favorite was the stalls so narrow you could not fit your shoulders through them. Here is my journal entry from earlier this year, March 29th, 2025. Had to pee so bad. Find a bathroom with a very long line out the door. The line was moving faster though. It was on a moving walk. Maybe more like a conveyor belt because it turned so often. Once inside the bathroom proper, I could see no urinals. Instead, every wall has a vent you were meant to start pissing into. It was like a casino with mini games. People just hanging out, eyes on the screens watching sports or whatever, making bets by peeing into the walls. Because of how often the belt turned, you could easily end up peeing on each other, or the floor, or anything really. It was awful. I can't believe other people get these too. What the hell? Same thing in mine. I know I'm not crazy. These dreams are a tether to a certain astral world. There is other variations and themes, but they all have the same feeling. You feel a presence of magic, but it's draining and old, wandering in familiar places back in an older time. Abandoned houses with waning living spaces, construction sites resembling your neighborhood, forest trails resembling summer camp, abandoned theme parks and arcades, etc. I used to get them a lot when I was on antibiotics. I actually have these from time to time. In these dreams, I am often searching for a public bathroom because of nature's call. When I find one, the door to it looks like any other toilet door, but the interior is a maze like you described. The rooms are filthy with pipes and stuff running everywhere. The toilets are weirdly shaped and have not been cleaned in a while. Others are there too, but they seem to be as confused as I am. I finish my business, but for some reason I can't find a way out anymore because the geometry of the rooms have changed while I was in the stall. That is where I wake up usually. Scary stuff. Yeah, they weren't necessarily bad, but it was very exhausting and restless, beautiful landscapes, but too expansive and lonely. A lot of meaningful dreams have usually started in these places too. I think it might be related to the older root networks that we have accrued connections with in those areas. In our current timeline, it's very hard to tap into the spiritual aspects of nature like that. We have to be asleep or meditating to have any actual awareness of those things. I do believe that there was a balance a long time ago, where that cosmic energy was enmeshed with our conscious life. That restless, tired, lonely feeling is the unnatural divide between our world and nature, becoming more apparent as time goes on, and people forget how to farm and manage forests. Maybe it's a way for people to unconsciously communicate. Maybe it's a space for when the brain does not have the energy to conjure up a real dream, almost like a loading screen so it can rest and recover. Maybe you have to be on a certain frequency that we are all attuned to. I always get a bad feeling when I am in there, this sense of impending dread. I've never acted out or been caught because I always have this fear of what might happen. I have absolutely been here many times, but there are a few different biomes, if you will, of endless bathroom. A common one I have found myself in is a large vast open room with tiled walls that are faded to be beige and endless rows of commercial toilets lined up uniformly for miles and miles. There is the occasional support pillar in the room as well. There is also never a smell in mine, at least not discernible as having a poor smell. As of recently for me, the endless bathrooms I've seen in dreams have been different. I will enter, and the lighting is dark red, and there is 2 rows of 10 doorless stalls on either side, and a hallway at the end of the room. The hallway will lead to an endless shower room, which is always lit up well. Either grey or dark, slate-colored walls. It varies. I have also seen maze-like endless bathrooms in my dreams. These ones have stall doors and walls, but they vary in height. There will be large stalls that feel like you are enclosed, and small stalls that you could easily see over. I digress. Anywho, I love visiting the endless bathrooms. Scenarios are always either exploration, I don't know why, or sexual, and always, regardless of scenario, they are super comforting for me. Thanks for posting Anon. Cool to see a lot of others have seen similar locations. Speaking of red lit rooms, I've visited a place that is a labyrinth of hallways in a house. It looks like pick related. The halls are winding, and there is a lot of rooms that they end in, but the weird thing is that it is non-Euclidean. So when you round that corner and then come back, you might not be going the same way that you came. What's interesting is that I can actually navigate this, but it puts a heavy strain on my brain. Somehow I understand it when I am there, and it takes a long time to get out of it. I've seen the toilet rooms, but mine looked a bit different. There were no urinals or stalls. It was just rows and rows of toilets in a bunch of differently shaped rooms. It was also extremely dark in there for some reason, and in the distance, probably 100 meters, there was a fog, similar to an older game's rendering distance limit. I think the floor was not entirely even, with some portions being raised up a little bit. The ground was this dark, metallic color, and the toilets themselves almost looked like old plastic. They also had a weird flushing mechanism that extended out of the water tank upward with a pull cord. The context was weird for it in my dream too. It was as if I was having a normal dream, but took a wrong turn and got stuck in there. I had the sensation that I needed to find something. It felt like I was walking around in there for hours. At the time of the dream, about 8 years ago, I assumed it was just some faded memory, like of communal bathrooms at scout camps. Seeing this thread has creeped me the hell out. Okay, so has anyone been to the deep underground military bases in their dreams too? I have been a few times, and it was made very clear that I was not wanted there. Ever since I was a child, I've traveled to many places in my dreams, and each time, I know when I'm having a normal dream versus when I am legitimately astral projecting / visiting other worlds or shared dream worlds. There is a very distinct feeling, and usually the places feel lived in, and some of the people that you run into are just as bewildered as you, and don't know how to interact with others, while others are visibly well-versed, invisible, or leave lots of signs / notes on the walls to other visitors, kind of like a bulletin board system, but also with a lot of decorations, graffiti, and other communique. Some of the building worlds I've been to are like this, and usually don't have as dark as an aura. They have a feeling of goodwill, and might be psychically protected in some way. I swear to God this is not a LARP, but I'm really curious if anyone else has been here. One recurring setting that I have not figured out is AP, or My Own Dreams, is a large building with a very unique layout and architecture. The exterior is sort of like a mall or a large city building, and has a sort of rectangular courtyard or possibly C-shape from top down. It is possibly 10 or more stories tall, maybe more. I've spent most of my time in the bottom floor. The entire building has the vibe of a hotel or casino with large open floors and rooms, with strange entities and living furniture / objects, all of which feel relatively harmless. The part I've spent most time in is the right side of the building, which always presents as a tall, climbing apartment or a boarding house block that is all connected by stairs. It is in various states of dilapidation and hoarding, but mostly / completely abandoned. There is little to no running electricity, and there are very clearly distinct lived-in quarters that are filled with very tormented and unfriendly entities that act like protective, confused, or scared ghosts who clearly lived in these cramped rooms. I have gotten stuck in this area a lot, and have exited in a middle section that is a lot like the bottom floor, but mostly empty, and seems like another dining / catering area. The back part of the building has a section that progresses left to right or clockwise in a narrow hallway with warm, dim lighting, with a series of doors to the left, each containing various rooms with videos and movies playing for various forms of entertainment, misdirection, and information regarding the building and its nature. As you progress down the hallway, the information seems to get more high stakes and serious, scary, and top secret as you go on, especially as you take the right turn at the end of the hallway. Somewhere near the hallway is a small room that looks sort of like a postmaster office with a collage of lockers of different sizes and shapes. This room is a literal puzzle that is built by the architect/owner of the building, and each locker contains one of two things. A small unique puzzle that contains objects or keys to other lockers, or B, literal portals to rooms or worlds that are like games or escape rooms that eventually transport you back to the main room after you have solved them, which then give you keys to other lockers. The room, as well as the entire building, give the distinct vibe of a self-righteous, eccentric, possibly harmless but probably actually malevolent and powerful rich genius, architect or game runner, that gets off on seeing if anyone can make it through the entire building and all of his games. Something feels extremely dark and malevolent about the entire building, despite sections of it trying to pass themselves off as playful, whimsical, or harmless. It is not a good place. Anyway, to wrap this up, I've ended up at this place multiple times in the last year, and I don't know why or how, but it feels like someone or something is deliberately obscuring or muddying my sense of distinction between projection or shared world and dream. Honestly, the whole thing kind of gives a sense of being a deliberate and malicious waste of time and energy, like a trap or a maze, but specifically made for people who keep projecting or meddling where they are not supposed to. I do not consider myself a well-versed astral projector, or even a very paranormally inclined person. I had passing interests and very little real belief as a teen, but this is different. I am only posting so seriously and manically about it now because I am experiencing a rare window of clarity and memory around it, as it seems these memories and knowledge are suppressed most of the time. Something feels urgent, but mostly because it feels like we're approaching a collective psychic/world change that feels orchestrated and malevolent, but also will render any knowledge and power we common folks have as irrelevant and harmless in the face of what is coming. Dude, it's a dream, it's not the end of the world. The closest thing I have to monster nightmares is what I will out of necessity call the semi-sentient dirty bathroom parallel dimension. Unfortunately, in order to fully explain it, I first have to explain the dream map nature of my dreams. 99% of my dreams take place in my city and surrounding area, and my house is the center of this map. Wherever I am in the dream world, I always know where my house is. For the sake of haste, I will just say that there are about 4 quadrants in this dream map, and different types of dreams happen in their own specific quadrant. For example, if I have a mild nightmare, it always happens in the downtown area. Good dreams usually happen in the park area. Hopefully you get the idea. Now I will get to the semi-sentient dirty bathroom parallel dimension. I don't get these dreams as much as I used to, but I used to get them all of the time. It usually involves a dirty, disgusting public bathroom, maybe even a school bathroom, that sort of thing. I do not like being in these bathrooms, and there is an overwhelming sense of dread whenever I find myself in one. Many times there are other people in the bathrooms as well, but they never seem to mind how disgusting they are. These bathrooms are also somehow connected to a vast sewer system that is underneath the dream map. When I'm in these places, I do not know where my house is. This sewer or bathroom dream area is some sort of evil entity that I cannot fully describe. My guess is that it represents the parts of my unconscious that I do not want to face. The last dream that I can remember involving these dirty bathrooms was several years ago, and seemed to be the culmination to this bathroom saga. I remember that I was in a library and needed to use the bathroom. I found one and went inside. It was disgusting, possibly the filthiest bathroom I have ever seen. While I was in there, I noticed a jagged hallway behind the last stall. This hallway led to what I will just call the hub. It's an area where all of the dirty places in my dream world connected. The first thing that I noticed was a massive river of piss, shit, garbage, blood, bones, food waste like grease and meat. This stuff all sort of blended together. It was pretty dark in this area, but I could still see fairly well, although everything was tinted reddish brown. Also, this area was indoors, like some sort of underground sewer waste facility, except the ceilings are extremely high, and this place was massive. There were huge hills of the slop that I described earlier, and I could see that it was dripping down from the ceilings too. Also, there were bulldozer-like machines moving this waste into piles. Most of the light that I could see came from those machines. I did not get the sense that there were people in the machines. They were just a part of this evil place somehow. I vaguely remember hiding from one of the machines, but I can't recall anything else from the dream, only that there was a metaphysical presence that wanted me to suffer. Pic related is about the best approximation I could find out of what the whole area looked like, minus the face in the picture. Just imagine that, but everywhere. Be me. I never really remember my dreams much as a kid, but there is this one place that keeps coming back. It's always some kind of mall, but not like any mall I've ever been to. The floors are sticky, the lights flicker, everything smells like old water and something sour. The bathrooms are everywhere, but they are all wrong. Sometimes the stalls are too small, sometimes there is no doors, sometimes the toilets are just holes in the ground. Sometimes I see other people, but they never look at me. They just sort of drift past me like ghosts. Sometimes I hear voices echoing down the halls, but I can never make out what they are saying, and there is never anyone there when I go to check. I always get this feeling like I am being watched, but I never see anyone actually looking at me. One night, I am in the mall again, but it is different this time. There is this weird tension in the air, like I can just sense that something is about to happen. I am walking past a row of shuttered stores, and I see this guy in a suit standing by the bathrooms. He's not moving, he's just staring at the wall. I try to ignore him, but every time I look back, he is a little bit closer. I go inside the bathroom, hoping he will leave me alone. Inside, it's even worse than usual. The floors are all flooded, the toilets are overflowing. The smell is so strong I almost gag. There is a vent open in the ceiling, with a light flickering inside. For some reason, I decide to climb up. Dream logic, I guess. I find myself in a tiny room with a bunch of old monitors. They're all showing different bathrooms. Some I recognize, some I don't. One of the screens is just static, but I swear I see my own face flicker for a second. I hear footsteps coming up behind me, so I turn around. It's the suit guy. He has followed me all the way up here. He says, "You were not supposed to see this." Everything goes black. I wake up in my bed with my heart pounding. I haven't dreamed since then. Sometimes I get this weird static in my ears when I try to sleep. I am paranoid that someone is watching me through the vents in my house now. Weeks go by, still no dreams. I start noticing weird stuff in real life. I get these random phone calls, where there's nobody on the other end. I see vans parked outside my house at night, always the same plain white ones. One day I got a letter in the mail, but it had no return address. Inside is a photo of me, taken through my bedroom window. On the back it just says, "Stop remembering," in block letters. I try to tell my friends, but they just laugh it off. And then, all of a sudden, I can't find the letter anymore. I don't know if I just misplaced it, or it disappeared, or it never existed in the first place. I start getting headaches, especially when I walk past public bathrooms. Sometimes I hear the static again, but like, coming from inside my own head. One night, I wake up, and the suit guy is standing at the foot of my bed. He does not say anything, he just stares at me. I can't move or scream, I just lie there frozen. He leans down and whispers to me, "You are not supposed to be here." The next morning he's gone, but there is muddy footprints leading from my bed to the bathroom. I wanted so badly to chalk it up to sleep paralysis, but I could not. My mom screamed at me for bringing mud into the house. She was convinced I went outside at like 2 or 3 a.m. and just walked into the woods. She says she saw me do it. I try to forget all about it. The dreams start to come back intermittently. I close my eyes and see monitors in my dreams sometimes. I start keeping a little journal, just trying to make sense of it. I find out other people online have had similar dreams. Some talked about government experiments in past forums, others say it's aliens. Talked a little about it on a buff top secret before it got taken down. One guy claims the mall is a real place, a kind of psychic prison where they harvest something from us. He says the bathrooms are gateways and the suit guys are the guards. He warns me not to go back, says once you see the monitors, you are marked. I ask him what happens if you are marked. He just says that you stop dreaming and that they watch you instead. I start noticing more glitches in reality. Mirrors do not reflect light. I swear I see things in the corner of my eye. I hear that static more and more often, and I know it's not tinnitus. One night the static gets so loud I cannot sleep. I go to the bathroom. I look in the mirror, and for a second, I see the suit guy standing behind me. I turn around, but nobody is there. But the smell is back, the sour sewage stench from the dream. I try to leave, but the door won't open. I hear footsteps outside, slow and deliberate. The lights flicker, and I see shadows moving underneath the door. I start banging on the door, but nobody comes. Finally, the door opens, and I am back in the mall. Everything is wrong. The colors are off. Gravity feels weird. The suit guys are everywhere, moving in slow motion. They are carrying boxes labeled with names. Some of them have my name on it. One of them opens up a box and pulls out a handful of static, does that even make sense, and shoves it into my mouth. I can't breathe or scream and everything just goes fuzzy. I wake up in my bed again, but now there's a scratch on my arm that I don't remember being there before. The static is louder than ever. I can barely think. I ended up in a psychiatric hospital for a while because no one believed me and my mom could not cope. Don't dig into this too deeply, Anons. You do not want to know where it leads. Holy shit, Anon, what the hell? I have seen the military bases too. I had this dream a few months back and it still messes with me. It starts out normal, just wandering some weird city at night. The sky is orange, like there's a fire somewhere far off. I keep walking. I realize I'm alone. The streets are all empty. I see a stairwell going down between two buildings. I have never noticed it before. Something tells me not to go, but I do it anyway. The stairs go down forever. There are concrete walls, flickering lights. I eventually reach this heavy metal door. There's no handle, there is just a keypad. The door opens by itself and cold air rushes out. Inside is a long hallway. The walls are painted that weird hospital green. I hear humming like machinery, but also voices really far away. I walk past rooms with thick glass windows. I cannot see inside them. I just see these faint shapes moving around. Some rooms have red lights. Others have blue lights. I keep going. I feel like I am being watched. I turn a corner. I see two guys in military uniforms. Their faces are blurred out. They don't look at me. They just keep on walking. I try to follow, but they disappear around another corner. I start hearing alarms, low and distant, kind of like submarine sounds. I found a big open room that looks like a lab. There are computers everywhere, with screens showing maps and weird symbols. Some kind of language I don't recognize maybe. I see a big glass tank in the middle of the room, filled with a greenish liquid. There is something floating inside, but I cannot tell what it is, but it is moving. I get closer. I realize it is not human. Its skin is gray, the eyes are too big, the mouth is too small. It looks at me, or through me, I can't tell which. I hear a voice in my head that is not my own. They can't see you, but I can. I try to turn and run, but my legs will not move. The room starts spinning. The alarms get louder. I see more figures in the shadows, some in uniforms, some not human. One of them walks up to me and puts a hand on my shoulder. The hand is cold and the fingers are insanely long. I feel something pressing into my mind, like static but sharper. I see flashes of lots of different images, underground tunnels, rows of tanks, people sleeping in pods, more of those gray things walking around. I hear voices arguing, but I can't make out the words. They're just faint and at the edge of my hearing, but I can tell that they are scared. I see a map of the world, red dots everywhere. Some of them are blinking. I try to scream, but nothing comes out. Out of nowhere, I hear this heavy, crashing sound. I turn and see all of this liquid just rushing out of the tank. This alien or whatever it is has completely shattered it. I can feel shards of glass nicking my cheeks, and I feel myself bleeding. This thing almost floats down from the tank onto the floor. I tried to turn, but I am now locked in place. I can feel my entire body shaking as it refuses to move. It feels like there is some kind of heavy weight pressing down over my entire body. Each and every single limb feels this pressure. The alien finally reaches me. When it walks, it makes this weird sound. It kind of sniffs the air, but the sound is much different to that. It sounds more machine-like. It reaches over my head and hovers one massive palm over me. It is bigger than my entire head. It clamps down on me, and I feel my head begin to get lighter. I can feel everything in my body get lighter and feel like it's just draining away. I can feel it speaking in my head. It's telling me, submit or forget. I don't even have a second to think. My brain is still in full panic mode. In one split second, I hear this bursting sound and the squelch of flesh. My right arm, the blood vessels, it has all just burst. There is now a giant gaping wound in my arm, and I can feel it getting lighter and lighter. It tells me the same thing again, and in my panic I am screaming in my head, yes, yes, please, anything. It releases me and does this horrible smile. The thing did not even have a mouth originally. I see the skin where the mouth should be begin to tear and rip apart as it stretches and forms a smile. The thing tells me, good, you are not the first, but be ready. All of a sudden I am hit by this massive shockwave of force, but the second my body starts to move, I am not where I was. I am now in the hallway. My arm is normal again. The doors to the base that originally opened up to me slam shut, and an alarm starts blaring. I start to run away, but I am shot at by soldiers and I die. I woke up right after that. I don't know what it means. I don't know what any of these things mean. Surely it can't be coincidence, but I do not know. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed the stories. The goal for the channel is 100k, so please subscribe, like, and leave a comment because it really helps the channel. Thank you for watching.